Welcome back. Arnoud van Doorn is a former Dutch Islamophobe and member of the far-right Dutch politician Geert Wilders' anti-Islam Freedom Party. He was involved in producing the film Fitna, which argued that Islam is violent, intolerant, and bent on world domination. Van Doorn converted to Islam last year. Now his son has become a Muslim too. What is it about Islam that Islamophobes are missing in their critique of the religion and its followers? What message should Muslims share with those who appear to hate Islam? And what would make an Islamophobe turn to Islam? With me is Dr. Shabir Ali, President of the Islamic Information Center. Dr. Shabir Ali, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
My pleasure to be on.
Now, here is a remarkable story of an individual who was part of an effort to smear Islam, who turns around and becomes a Muslim, and a very devout Muslim at that. His story is all over the internet, on YouTube. Many people have written articles about him. He recently went to Hajj, so he's very into Islam at this point.
Yes, and just to clarify two things, if you don't mind.
Sure.
When he spoke in Toronto, he said, I've never been an Islamophobe, though of course I was part of that movement to criticize Islam.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't elaborate further, like what's the difference between one who criticizes in that way and an Islamophobe.
Especially one who was involved in creating this film, in producing this film, Fitna. Right?
Yes, and this is the other thing. In one of the news articles I read about this, he said that actually I wasn't involved in producing the film, only in proliferating it.
Okay.
And in any case, to atone for that, he has decided that he will produce now a film to highlight the positive aspects of the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Mm-hmm.
So then, to get back to your question, then what causes a person like this to turn around?
Yes.
Well, as a result of that film, he naturally was approached by many Muslims who tried to show him the light. And at first he resisted this, but he went along just to see eventually how maybe he can talk some sense into the Muslims. But when he went to the mosque, he felt a sense that somehow he was immediately displaced from his position of security, like that sense he had that something's really wrong with Islam. Suddenly he started to have doubts. He went home that day confused because he could feel that there's something beautiful about Islam. There's some peace and serenity in the mosque that he experienced now for himself. And then he said that he couldn't sleep that night, so he went back the following day.
Yes.
And
he spent quite a long time. Each time that he went to the mosque, he spent quite a long time there.
Yes, and that led to a series of meetings with Muslims until eventually, after a few months, he embraced the religion. So this personal feeling of being there and experiencing the community spirit of the Muslims in the mosque is what has done it for him.
Mm-hmm. It also seems as if he did his own research. Like he read books, he spoke to people, and perhaps he realized that many of the things that people were saying about Islam wasn't actually true.
Yes, to begin with, he is an intelligent man. He worked for city council, and then when Geert Wilders was starting his party, Geert Wilders invited him to work with him in starting up that party. So he was an important Dutch politician. So he must have thought about social issues, political issues. He must have read widely. And then during this phase, when he was thinking about Islam, he not only describes the experience that he had that changed his way of looking at things, but naturally he also must have read about Islam, because he describes the teachings of Islam as being wise teachings, and that is not only a feeling of I like it, but this is a label that comes as a result of careful thought and research.
Mm-hmm. Interesting enough, his son also converted to Islam, his foster child, and one of the things that his child mentioned is the fact that he had a friend who guided him towards Islam in a very intelligent and thoughtful and wise way.
Yes, just to be clear about this, Van Doorn himself says he does not have any children that he biologically fathered, but he has fostered 4 children. And the eldest of them now, Iskandar, has embraced Islam recently at the Dubai Peace Conference. Iskander says, as you have rightly pointed out, that he had a friend who he found to be very peaceful. And in fact, he found the same peace with his father. He said, though, after his father embraced Islam, he saw that his father is very peaceful. And this friend of his invited him to become a Muslim, and he accepted that invitation. And that, in a way, shows that Muslims sometimes have to do their bit by inviting people. Maybe some people out there may feel that Islam is a collection of wise teachings, but nobody actually mentioned to them the possibility that, you know, you could become a Muslim formally. Many people
and it's
are
interesting when we see people who are attacking Islam or attacking Muslims, we think that we think almost that they're a lost cause. There's no point engaging with them. You know, they just hate us. You know, that's it for them, and we'll just stay as far away from them as possible. But in this case, here's an indication that some people are capable of change.
That's right, that's right. And so we should never lose hope, and we should try to understand people from where they stand, and we should try to invent, in a way, excuses for them. You know, from where that person stands, it must seem to that person that Islam is the way that person is describing it, even though his descriptions are all false. And he's obviously very mistaken. But we should try to have empathy, try to see it from that person's perspective, and then if we can see it from that person's perspective, then we know what we need to change from within that perspective. If we don't see it from within that perspective, we just see this person as an enemy of Islam, and we just see this as a person that we have to battle with, then we don't know, like, how to conduct the battle, how to win it. But if we start seeing it from that person's perspective, then we have a sense of what needs to be adjusted in that person's view. What do we need to tell this person?
But sometimes it's hard because you know, someone will have a view of Islam that's completely different from the view that we experience ourselves. So we're just like, where are you getting this from? So how do we engage with somebody who is, you know, as we've said, an Islamophobe, or perhaps somebody who has said horrible things about Islam or Muslims?
Yes, I think you said it rightly yourself. We shouldn't lose hope, and if we have that hope that this person can still be turned around, then we'll find a way to present the message to this person. And at the same time, we should not lose our focus. We should not ignore the fact that there are many people out there who are not critical of Islam. There are many people out there, and I started saying this earlier, who in a way are already Muslims at heart. They already feel that Islam is a great religion, but nobody has invited them to be a Muslim formally. So Muslims need to do their homework by inviting such persons, whether it be workmates outside of the work environment, naturally, because you may have restrictions on discussing religion at your workplace. But outside of the work environment, like you invite a person for dinner, for a cup of tea, or in some other social environment, then, you know, you just as people make proposals for marriage and whatever, you just ask the person, have you thought about becoming a Muslim yourself? Because from what I can see, you're a very good person, and to me that's what defines Islam. So you are already basically a Muslim, but you just haven't said it yet. Are you willing to say it? And then that person may say, yeah, I can be a Muslim. And what it requires then is to say the Shahada, the confession of faith in Islam. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. And then the person formally enters the Islamic faith, and one has a life-changing experience then. Everything, you know, then has a new vision. Much will remain the same, but one has now a God-oriented vision in life, and one pursues things of the life hereafter, while also at the same time being busy with the normal things that people are busy with work, with study, with family, and so on.
Have you ever invited anyone to Islam in the way that you've described just now?
Yes.
And has it worked?
And it has worked,
wow.
Yes. The case in point that I have in mind here is of a boy. He was about 18 years old, but I have to say a young man. And he had received one of our leaflets that we were distributing on the street, a leaflet entitled Some Forgotten Sayings of Jesus, and in which we showed that there are many passages in the Bible in which Jesus obviously declares himself to be a servant and messenger of God. And when he received that and came to talk to us, I said to him eventually, it seems that you're already a Muslim at heart. Why don't you embrace Islam? And he did.
Wow. Thank you for that, Dr. Shabiali.
You're welcome.
We'll take a break. When we return, we will answer questions we've received from you, our viewers.